yeah, baby. That is, I swear, that's one of the corniest, best intros to a podcast I've ever heard in my life.
It's got me like like.
I was sitting there headbanging. Oh man! Welcome to the CFB Top 25 podcast, where we took an episode off on the last one. Do apologize, but Big Drewski here, your host. I'm here with my co-host
Casper, the host.
So I have to take full responsibility for last week, man. That time change got me for some reason. I don't know. I guess I was looking at my computer clock thinking that I had more time when I did, and I was not accounting for the fact that it was accurate. So I think I was thinking I had an extra hour, and then I looked up about the time that me and Casper normally start recording, and I was like, ooh, I got like 12 minutes. So by the time we got everything squared away, it was just too late for us to try to record one. So I do apologize. But this podcast is still brand new. So I think there's only like 5 of y'all listening or something. 10, I don't know. Hell, I don't look at the numbers. But welcome either way. We have a good show for you guys planned. We're going to try our best to do a little recap and a little preview on both on this episode. But we're going to try our best. No guarantees, at least on some of those upsets. But anyways, Casper has got some top 25 news for us.
All right, couple things. Obviously, Michigan's got this whole thing going on with this whole sign stealing deal. Blake Corum, it was discovered that he and Connor Stallions were joint partners in an LLC.
I did see that in passing.
In Wyoming, yet used a mailing address in Ann Arbor, Michigan, at a house that Stallions purchased a few years ago.
However, a lot of people do that for tax reasons. They'll set their business up in like somewhere random. But
so the interesting part of this is that, at this point, Corum is saying he had no dealings at all with Stallions and they never owned a company together, even though they're listed on paperwork. I guess I'm just bringing that up just to say that we really have no idea what's going on in this Michigan thing or how big it might be. I suggest y'all sit back, relax, and watch it. By the time you guys listen to this on Friday, there is rumor that Harbaugh will be suspended again on Thursday.
So I do
a couple days early. So
I think while we're on the subject, it is worth noting. Me, Casper, and T. Fitty, who's a semi-appearing co-host on our other.
Here, we just talk about him on here all the time.
Yeah, he's kind of like an urban legend at this point. Yes. But we all had a titillating conversation about this earlier. My personal belief is no matter what happens, they're going to probably let Michigan play this out, even if they got scrapped at Natty. The reason why I think that is because I don't think they really care. I think they want them ratings money. They want them eyeballs.
Amen.
So they don't really care if Michigan plays or not. As a matter of fact, if they can, I think you were the one that said if they can play, make the playoffs, make the Natty, and then they scrub the Natty, they're just going to get more eyeballs later. But I personally, we're not going to find out till probably the end of this season, and I think they're going to let Michigan play on because they want them dollars. Because again, no matter every game that Michigan goes up against, if they win, it's going to be like, oh, well, they're a bunch of cheaters. No, like it's going to be like a train wreck that you can't look away from. Much like all those episodes of Jersey Shore that I watched. I knew it was trash as I was watching it, but I just couldn't look away. So thoroughly interesting. Any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I don't. I'm just curious to see what happens. I'm afraid that they're going to only blame this on the coaches, so there's not going to be any real issue for Michigan as a whole, and that kind of bothers me a little bit. I'm hearing a lot of that right now, and that
I think
bother me.
They're going to say like, oh, he just colluded with the defensive coordinator. Yeah. They'll fire the coordinator. They'll find some scapegoat in the office down there.
Truthfully, my overall thing is they're going to sweep this up under the rug, and then they're going to have mics and helmets next year. So moving on. Next headline, Jaden Daniels, who was absolutely rocked by Dallas Turner, in my opinion, should have been a targeting in the game against Alabama. Might play. He's still in concussion protocol. Big game for them against Florida. They lose that game, their year really heads back down the dump. It has been, if they were to lose that game to Florida, extremely up and down. season for LSU. But I just wanted to point this out because we didn't get to talk about it, but that hit, man, like from Dallas Turner up into Jaden Daniels' jaw with his helmet. I literally don't understand how that wasn't called targeting. I
mean,
still
it's
haven't figured that
borderline
out yet.
assault.
I mean, look, it was a solid hit, and it happens in football. But like, dude, when you go helmet to under the face mask, that has to be targeting. Period. So I'm pretty disgusted at that, and I hope that he gets back in. And I did go back and check, and I have not seen Dallas Turner suspended, which I think is disgusting. So shame on you, SEC and NCAA. Any comments?
No, I mean, like I said, hits like that are borderline assault. I mean, that's kind of my initial gut reaction. I mean, but yeah, no, I'm kind of curious to see what happens with that. But you got to protect the players, man. They're making too much money and stuff now, anyways. But you got to protect these guys.
I mean, obviously Dallas Turner is a great defensive player, and he has that dog in him. But man, part of college is you got to learn how to control it, and you can't learn if you don't get penalized. I'm a big fan of racing, and I see this not get penalized in racing when people do dumb stuff,
Yeah,
for lack of a better term, and I'm not okay with it. So, last headline I wanted to cover: the betting penalties have been lowered for NCAA athletes. This does not apply if you bet on yourself or your own school, even. As in that situation with Iowa earlier this year, where the players were suspended.
yeah. Was it
But
Iowa or Iowa? I think it might have been Iowa State. Either way, but yeah,
whichever one, I think it was Iowa. But basically, now the current rule, I didn't know this, but the current rule is written that if you bet at all on NCAA sports, then you will be basically ineligible for life, basically banned,
yeah,
regardless of what it is. Now they've changed the rule where if you bet on some other teams, it's not a guaranteed ban, which I think it's interesting swing. And I mean, I think this leads to like letting people bet. And me and you had talked about this, I think, earlier in the year on this show, even um, about like it's just hard to police this because there's so many teams in football and basketball. So, kind of interesting to see where that goes. I think that drives college sports now as well as NIL is betting. So, kind of interesting that we're changing legislation on that already. Any opinions?
yeah. No, I mean, I mean, you got to definitely keep these sports clean. I mean, but I get what they're saying. Like, basically, making it to where, like you said, it's not like a lifetime ban if you're betting on some other games or whatever. So, somewhat indifferent on it, I guess. I don't know that you can
Yeah.
100% stop it or control it, but it is what it is. So,
Yeah.
so getting into the first game. Number one, Ohio State is hosting Michigan State. Ohio State beat Rutgers last week, 35-16. Me and Casper, which I don't know if y'all knew or not, but me and Casper went to the Tennessee Vols game, and we actually ended up. I think you were keeping an eye on this one when we were in the stadium, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah, Rutgers was up at halftime for some
yeah,
stupid reason.
and then Ohio State grinded back and won it, so kudos to them. Ohio State is ranked number one with their notable wins against Notre Dame and Penn State. All the other ones are somewhat irrelevant. Um, but they are going up against Michigan State, who is 3-6. Ohio State's favored 31.5. Ohio State's probably going to win this game. It's at home. It's also a night game, so I think Ohio State's going to handle them pretty well on this one. Ohio State's 9-0. Michigan State's 3-8. Any comments on that one?
I expect Kyle McCord to do his thing, probably sling the ball, throw some touchdowns to Marvin Harrison Jr. Have you seen that he's now leading the Heisman, by the way? Interesting. I don't
Marvin
know how I
Harrison
feel about
Jr.
that. I just don't see a quarterback not winning that award. It's got to go to Penix if they continue to roll, in my opinion. But no, other than that, I don't have any comments. Michigan State's basically hot garbage. I take Ohio State by a lot. I don't know about covering the 31.5, but I take them by a lot.
All right. The game of the week, in my opinion, number to Georgia. About said number one. It's not about what you deserve, it's what your ranking is. By the way, we're going off of the CFP rankings, not the AP rankings. That was another reason why we postponed this episode, because we didn't have the rankings when we normally record this episode, because the CFP is a bunch of you-know-whats. So game of the week, number 2, Georgia hosts number 9, Ole Miss. Georgia is coming off their win last week against Mizzou. That was actually a great game, 30-21. Mizzou, hung with them, but Georgia just had too much at the end. Ole Miss is coming off of their win against Texas A&M, also a great game, 38-35. Ole Miss is 8-1 on the year. Their only loss coming to Bama. UGA is still undefeated at 9-0. This is a night kickoff game. Georgia is favored by 10.5. I don't know how crazy I am about that spread. I do think Georgia's going to win this game, though, solely because of home field advantage and it being a night game. Ole Miss is still fighting for that SEC West. Bama is undefeated in conference play. Ole Miss is 5-1. They're nipping on their heels a little bit. Georgia can absolutely controls their own destiny at this point. But yeah, I think Georgia's going to win. I don't know that they're going to. I think this one could be close though. But thoughts?
My thoughts on this game are I think Georgia should win this game. However, they cannot come out and start slow in this game. Kiffin will have them ready to go coming out of the tunnel. Jackson Dart, no joke. He's going to try to sling it. Quinshon Judkins, no joke. He's going to go as hard as he can go. Brock Bowers not playing for Georgia, in my opinion, is a big deal in this game. But overall, Georgia has the 7th best defense and 7th best offense in the country. They are a good football team, going to be tough to beat. They haven't played anybody, as we've well documented on this show. However, in all reality, if you look at Ole Miss and who they played in their current rankings, they hadn't played anybody either, other than Alabama, which they took the L to.
Well, they played respectfully Tulane, who is ranked, but they played Bama and LSU. Arkansas, I think, is underranked and or underrated. And honestly, dude, Georgia Tech is.
Don't give me that Georgia Tech crap.
Hey, Georgia Tech is 3rd in the ACC
We're
right
not going
now.
to talk about Georgia Tech. They're dead to me.
5-4, 4-2, baby. The Georgia Tech Yellow Dragon. All right.
So, in all seriousness, we've been talking about the overall picture here. I was looking through the schedules of the top 8 teams earlier today, and it would be typical, just nonsense happen for Georgia to somehow lose to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech has won games that make absolutely no sense for them to win this year, and then lost games that make absolutely no sense. So
100%.
It's a weird thing for Georgia Tech. But yeah, give me Georgia in a close one.
For the record, I was just going to say, for the record, this is the game day game of the week. That is where they're setting up.
Yeah. I just don't see a way that Georgia I just don't see a path for Ole Miss to beat Georgia at the end of the day. I don't think their offense is good enough. I don't think their defense is good enough. I think Georgia's a better team. It's at home. It's at night. It's going to be tough. Give me Ole Miss.
I like it. So what? No, I think I'm hearing my daughter making noise or something. Yeah. So what's the next game?
Up next, number 3, Michigan at Penn State on the big noon kickoff. Big snooze kickoff. Number 3, Michigan travels to number 10, Penn State. This could have been a great game, whiteout game. It's not. This is a 12 o'clock kickoff. Michigan favored by 4.5. Over-unders at 44. Kind of curious to see, if Penn State's got something. Obviously, they got beat by Ohio State by 8. They're still a decent football team, though. So, this also is going to be a quality football game to watch this weekend, another top 10 matchup.
Yeah, I'll definitely be watching this, and I'm curious to see how it goes. Michigan's favored 4.5. I do think Michigan's going to win this game, but I think it's going to be close. It's nothing against Penn State. I just think Michigan is absolutely rolling. and it's a noon kickoff, man. These get weird. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Penn State wins, but I'm gonna go with Michigan close. I'm gonna say Michigan by 3.
Solid pick. I'm gonna go with Penn State. I think that this whole Harbaugh thing might be enough to distract Michigan. This Blake Corum thing, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but that whole thing, like when I read that today, I was like, this thing is getting deep and wide. And Penn State's a good football team. They only lost to Ohio State by 8 at Ohio State. And they're getting the chance to host here. I know it's a 12 o'clock game, doesn't make as big of a difference, but I think the Nittany Lions have been wanting a big win for quite a few years now. They have the third best defense in the country. This is probably going to be an under game. You think? You think you're going on the under on this game?
I do think it's
Defense
gonna be a
1 and
good
3.
defensive game. I I think it's gonna be around there. Honestly, I think enough. Both teams have enough offense. Their defense is really good too. I don't know, man. I think it's gonna be close to that.
Yeah, the only thing that can make this thing better if it's snowing the way it looks like it's gonna be about 38 degrees for kickoff. Probably perfect football weather up there, sunny, 38 degrees in Penn State. Is it getting better than that? Honestly, but yeah, man, gonna be big pomp and circumstance. I know that game day is not there, but I mean, obviously, Fox is gonna be there. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with Penn State for the upset here. I think it's time. I think it's time.
Yeah, Penn State. Um, I mean, they're looking pretty good this year. Like I said, I don't have anything bad to say about them or nothing. Obviously, like I said, Michigan, they've been rolling. Penn State coming off that big win, 51-15 against Maryland last week. Michigan's just, I mean, whipping up on everybody. The only downside, I mean, Michigan's been whooping everybody they've played, but the only downside is they haven't really played any of their good teams yet. This is like the first quote unquote test, So, kind of, I'm really, this is, in my opinion, this is the first actual look at Michigan we're going to get because they've just spanked everybody. The only other teams that scored 10 or more was Minnesota in the 52-10 loss and Purdue in the 41-13 loss. So, I'm kind of curious to see how this one goes.
Yeah.
What's up next?
Up next, we've got number 4, Florida State hosting Miami. In-state rivalry, big time ACC football. This game is going to be a 3:30 kickoff on ABC. Florida State obviously been rolling. They are still 9-0. Miami started off the year looking strong, kind of faded ever since that Georgia Tech loss. Since the failure to kneel. I mean, they've just basically faded since then and haven't really recovered. So
that one is rough.
Obviously it's good to watch in-state rivalry, but Florida State favored by 14. I think they'll be able to do that. What about you?
I definitely think Florida State's going to win this game. I think that they can win by 14. Miami is just, they had the infamous loss to Georgia Tech, turn around and lost at UNC. They lost at North Carolina State last week, 20-6. They just have
6
not
points on the board, man. That is not going to cut it against Florida State.
Yeah, like they have just not been able to put anything together. Respectfully, Pitt is a pretty decent team at home. They've got a good to decent defense. FSU's coming off the win last week, 24-7 or 24-7 there. But yeah, I think Florida State's going to get that win, and I think they could cover that 14. Miami's going to play them hard, but FSU's rolling. It's 3:30. They're gonna have something for them when they come to their stadium.
Yeah, one more comment about Florida State. Jordan Travis, it's kind of a shame that he missed a little bit early in the year because he right now is 19 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for just under 2,500 yards. 2 interceptions. That is impressive, 9-0 into a season. I like that. Tyler Van Dyke, he is an interception machine for Miami Hurricanes on the other side of the ball. Another reason they will lose.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. But yeah, so I think we both got FSU.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next up, we've got number 5 Washington hosts number 18 Utah. Utah coming off the was it USC last week?
They are coming off of. I was literally just in the process of pulling it up.
Yes, they are coming off of the. I'm sorry, Washington is coming off the win at USC last week. That's who it is. All these
Yes.
teams out there play each other, and I have trouble keeping it together. Um, I don't know. Utah has kind of fallen. Cam Rising obviously out for the year, never has made it back. Um, Barnes is okay, but he's no Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. so far through the season, 225 for 324 for 3,201 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Those are ridiculous numbers.
Yeah, I mean,
26 tuds.
the Utes have been playing quarterback by committee. Bryson Barnes, he's
Yeah.
thrown the ball 146 times. Nate Johnson's thrown it 72. Even Devon Vale, he's thrown the ball 3 times. They have a total of 1,400 yards, but I just don't. Utah is a good team. I like watching Utah. Their defense is pretty solid, but Washington is just going to have too much. Now, Utah is good at home. We do have to take that into
This
consideration, but
game is at
Washington's,
Washington.
huh?
This game is at Washington.
Oh, is it at Washington? Okay, I was looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, no, if it's at Washington, they got essentially no shot. I mean, again, Utah, I'd love to see you win. But yeah, Washington's just gonna have absolutely too much for them.
I agree. Moving on, another West Coast game. Number 6 Oregon hosts the newly unranked USC Trojans. For the first time in Lincoln Riley's era, USC is unranked and they are traveling on the road to Oregon for a night game. Oregon's favored by 15. The over-under's at 73. We banging the over on that one.
I do think this will be a high scoring game for sure.
I mean, 73 is high, but I mean, come on now. What do you
You
think?
know, Oregon's been rolling. You actually were the one that pointed out even earlier in the year that USC was one of the only teams that was falling in the rankings despite winning every game.
Yeah.
They just have absolutely imploded. Like you said, this is where, coaches go to kill their careers, apparently. Oregon's been rolling. They're at home. This is late game. USC, man, I mean, so they've got Oregon this week, and then their last game on the 18th is UCLA, I believe, if I'm looking at this right. Yeah, UCLA. They could legitimately go
0-3 to end the year.
I mean, they could go 7-5.
Uh-huh.
And that's it's UCLA at home, but yeah, I mean Oregon's going to get this win. It's a night game. They've not really USC's not shown me anything that shows that they're capable of anything. Caleb Williams, he's going to probably be on his cell phone in between, in between offensive attempts, trying to set up deals for ownership in the NFL or whatever the heck he's doing. Yeah, Oregon's going to win this one. They may win this one 15 plus. All I can say is Caleb Williams, your mom, she needs to go ahead and have the Kleenex ready because you're going to be crying again. It's going to be bad.
Yeah, I agree. Bo Nix here. This is his chance to shine, baby. He took the loss against Washington, got the night game, primetime game on Fox at 10:30 on Fox. That is late for a kick on national TV. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. USC just doesn't have it, man. At the end of the year, they don't have defense. They got a new defensive coordinator this week. The only thing about this is one thing I do want to say about USC. You do see in college football traditionally, and this is pre-NIL information we're talking about, but traditionally you see when coordinators go away, sometimes the players just rise up and play. So I would not be surprised to see USC put together like their best defensive effort of the year here, with the interim defensive coordinator. But I don't know, man. I just can't see Oregon losing. I'm still not sure that Oregon is not better than Washington at the end of the day, and they have to play to earn their rematch. So Bo Nix will be ready. The entire Washington team will be ready. He's going to add that 25 tud number. And look, Caleb Williams going to get his. He's going to get his tuds, and he's still going to cry at the end of it, like you said. I hope he doesn't hurt his draft stock too much more than he already has. So, give
Yeah,
me
no
his.
kidding.
After that, we're going down to the Longhorn State. Number 7, Texas travels to the disappointing year for TCU.
Yeah, TCU started off the year with that Colorado loss, which, I basically predicted. They've also lost to West Virginia, Iowa State, Kansas State, Texas Tech. A few of those are reputable losses. Their most notable win, Houston, SMU, and BYU. This is an in-state rivalry. It is a night game at TCU. I think that Texas is going to get this win, but for the record, if there was ever going to be a trap game, it would be this one for Texas, right?
Yeah, I agree. Night game, all 46,000 strong. Texas playing Iowa State next week, and Texas Tech. Yeah, not a trap game. But yeah, I just don't see Texas losing this football game. Texas, they've got to, like I just talked about Oregon, they've got to win out to get their chance. Finish up in this Big 12 championship game, try to get in the playoffs. I think they have what it takes. I don't actually think this is going to be a close football game. I kind of like Texas big. So I'm not going to go with TCU to be anywhere close at their
I
current
think
4 or
Texas
5.
is going to win, but I am going to put them on upset alert because I do think that this is a trap game. Just want to go on record.
I like it. No, I like to hear that. That's a great idea. I love to hear trap games. I love to talk about trap games. Speaking of trap games, coming up next, number 8 Alabama travels to my favorite trap game for the Tennessee Vols, Kentucky, for a 12:00 kickoff. Oh boy, Alabama favored by 11. Alabama's 8-1. Kentucky 6-3. After a somewhat surprising, successful start for Kentucky, they've kind of been on the fade. Last year, they did kind of recover with the win at Mississippi State. Who you got?
I got Bama. I don't consider this a trap game personally. I think Bama's going to roll through there. I think that they're going to win by more than 11. They're going to bury Kentucky. That's just my personal opinion. This is a noon kickoff. Saban will be back home with his feet kicked up.
By 5 o'clock.
By 5 o'clock. He'll be able to take a shot of whatever he wants and then pass out and still make his bedtime. I think Bama's going to roll through Kentucky pretty easy. I'm going to say by 14 plus.
All right. I'm going to take Bama to win. I think Kentucky comes out and kind of actually takes the lead right at 12:00 noon in this game. I think they come out and score first. Bama doesn't look great, and then they end up getting it together, and Milroe ends up running for like 150 yards or something. So definitely give me Bama probably by 14 plus, but I'm going to give Kentucky the first quarter, first half. But it's a shame what happened to Kentucky, but then they played some real schools and took 3 losses back to back to back, and that just kind of ruined it for them. And basketball started this week, so how much do they care?
I think they're not even thinking about football.
All those basketball schools, man, they're all done. Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky. Louisville's kind of the last one standing, right? So we'll see what happens there. Moving on. Speaking of Louisville, number 11 Louisville hosts the 2-7 Virginia Cavaliers. Louisville is favored by 20 points. This game is a Thursday night game on ESPN. This game will be over by the time this podcast is published. So when you listen, you're going to know if me and Big Ricky said anything relevant immediately. So what do you think is going to happen in this game? I would like to point out that UVA, for whatever reason, only has beat Carolina, who was leading the ACC at that point in time, other than Florida State. Was looking to be a contender. They beat them, and they beat William and Mary. That's their 2 wins. So they have took a lot of L's.
Yeah, I think Louisville's going to win this one pretty convincingly. It's night game at home. It's Friday night game. Those usually pop off for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, I think Louisville's going to roll over Virginia fairly easily. They've been playing well. I really don't have anything bad to say about them. I kind of underestimated them a little bit at the beginning, but yeah, I think Louisville's going to handle them. Jack Plummer is going to keep rolling.
Yeah, I overall don't think that Louisville is that great of a football team. I don't think that they're going to hang with Florida State in the ACC championship game, but I will take them to win this one over Virginia. Virginia just doesn't have it, unfortunately. After the tragedy that happened there, they lost some players to transfer and stuff like that. So yeah, I will take Louisville big at home at it's not Papa John's Stadium anymore, it's something else, but give me Louisville. Next, we have number 12 Oregon State hosting Stanford. Oregon State is 7-2. Stanford's 3-6. Oregon State favored by 3 touchdowns. Don't think this is gonna be much of a football game. The Beavs have absolutely been rolling. What kind of commentary you got on this one for us?
I mean, DJ's found his home up there, man. I mean, they've been playing great.
Yeah,
Like you said, I mean, they're still kind of in it with the conference a little bit, hanging around. We're getting to the end, so I mean, I don't think that they're gonna. I don't know that they're gonna be able to wiggle in, but they're in the Pac-12. They're what tied for
they're tied for second,
third.
kinda. Well, technically, but they're really kind of tied for second because they only have 2 losses. The big thing for them is they still have to play Washington and Oregon to finish up the year. That's going to be a tough 2 games back to
Yeah,
back from the end of the year on for
I
sure.
think they'll. I think they'll get this dub though. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know about the 21, but I do think they'll get that dub.
yeah. I think they will get the 21 over Stanford because Stanford just hadn't done all that much. Unfortunately, their days are kind of over. They haven't been good since what Christian McCaffrey. So
Yeah, kind of.
kind of just is what it is. So I'll take Oregon State. They're a good football team. Up next, we have the number 13 Tennessee Volunteers traveling to the number 14 Missouri Tigers in a battle of the SEC East.
I think that
Runner
this
up.
is maybe one of the most underrated games this week that a lot of people probably are going to overlook. I do think this one's going to be close. Tennessee's favored by a point. They're also favored on the matchup predictor. Two pretty evenly matched teams. I think that the Vols are going to win if they can get the running game popping. But I think this one's going to be, I don't know how high scoring it's going to be, but I think this one's going to be kind of a shootout a little bit. I think this one's going to be a pretty good game to watch. So, but yeah, I'm going to take Tennessee on the road. I think that they've got enough as long as they're not looking ahead next week too soon.
Yeah, this is tough. Missouri is a good football team. Tennessee is also a good football team. I think if you look at Missouri's schedule, I think Tennessee, you know, I don't know, man. Missouri's got some wins over some no-name schools. They elected to play, Memphis, MTSU, and some other school, South Dakota Academy of Criminology or something. I don't know. But they're just I don't know, man. Missouri is a good football team. I don't know how they're pulling it together this year. I haven't exactly understood that coach that looks like a high school chemistry teacher, Derkowitz. Like he really does look like a fantastic chemistry teacher. He's a genius. He gets the boys fired up. Brady, I mean, this is gonna be a good football game to watch. Unfortunately, I'll be at a wedding. Um, but you know, home game for Missouri, big crowd at home. Probably one of the biggest games they've had ever. I mean, right at Missouri since they've joined
Possible.
the SEC. So a lot of people had made some comments about the stadium won't be popping, but this is literally probably going to be one of the biggest games they've had at home, as far as them being competitive and the team there being competitive. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with Tennessee though. I think Josh Heupel will have the Volunteers ready to go. Joe Milton, I think, has improved throughout the year. So I'm gonna go with Tennessee over Missouri. Up next, we have number 15, Oklahoma State, traveling to the UCF Golden Knights. Somehow, at this point, this game's only a 2-point spread, even though Oklahoma State's 7-2, UCF is
Me
4
and you, we on the last show, the Little Teens Ring show, we were kind of, and I'm still sort of torn on this one particularly. I don't know why I'm so torn, but the ESPN matchup predictor has this, pretty close-ish game. But Gus Malzahn, he's doing some good things down there in UCF. Not so much, on the record this year, but my initial gut reaction, and I don't know why, but my initial gut reaction is actually to take UCF. Now, like I said on the last episode, full disclosure, I may flip flop on this one a little bit, but right now I don't know. I'm just for some reason I'm feeling the Golden Knights. It's a complete gut pick, but
Yeah, I'm still riding with Oklahoma State. I think they're an underrated football team. They took that really tough L early in the year to South Alabama. I think they lost to South Alabama, who might not even be a Division I school, but they lost to them. Then they lost to Iowa State. I think Iowa State is an underrated football team. Has also got better as the years gone, and I really think this Oklahoma State team has progressed playing Kansas State. Obviously, getting the win over Oklahoma last week, big time win for them. However, I could also see this be a good time for them to come out and choke. After getting the big win last week, that does happen. Sometimes you have the hangover week, and I don't know, but I am going to ride with the Cowboys because they got some nice looking uniforms, if nothing else, right? But I just don't. UCF hadn't impressed, and I really think Oklahoma State has gotten better as the year's gone. So I'm going to ride with the Cowboys.
I think the Cowboys defense is a little bit better. Like I said, I may flip flop on this one. For right now, I'm going UCF. I do think that this one's probably going to be a surprisingly good game to watch, though. In that 3:30 spot, a lot of people's going to overlook it, but it would not surprise me either way.
Maybe
But
hit the
yeah,
over on that 64. I kind of expect that to be a high scoring game too.
yeah, I
Um,
could see that.
but anyways, next we have number 16 Kansas hosting the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Kansas been a little bit up and down, but here lately they're looking pretty good. Ranked 16th, favored by three and
Oh,
a half over Texas Tech. Oh,
sorry. Before we completely move on, in the recap, we do need to recap real quick. Oklahoma State had that huge win against Oklahoma last week, rushed the field and everything. I'm
oh
pretty
God.
sure they pulled their goalposts down and all that stuff. But, it is worthy of noting that, Oklahoma going to the SEC, but Oklahoma State did get the last laugh on that one.
Yep,
So good on Oklahoma State. I just wanted to clear that up for them essentially ruining Oklahoma's season. That was kind of funny, but yeah. Anyways,
definitely a good point. Ever since Tennessee tore the goalpost down, against Alabama last year, everybody's been doing it. Some of these teams really need to get better at it, and I mean, I just it's got to be top 5 teams, man. Top 10's not good enough. Got to be top 5, maybe even top 3. I don't know. Anywho, like I said, moving on. Texas Tech at number 16, Kansas. The Jayhawks, pretty good football team. Their only losses coming to Texas and Oklahoma State, who we just mentioned. Texas Tech 4-5 lost to Kansas State, BYU, as well as Wyoming and Oregon and West Virginia. Just not necessarily the year they were looking for coming in. I always like Texas Tech because they're Texas Tech, but I just don't see much going for
by
them.
the way, R.I.P. Bobby Knight.
Yep, yep,
That
yep,
that
yep.
made me sad. That's just good little chunk of my childhood there watching him yell at and backhand players and stuff. But I used to
Just
love
don't raise
watching.
them like they used to, do they?
Yeah, dude, I used to love watching Bobby Knight, but R.I.P. Bobby Knight, man, that one was rough. But I think Kansas is going to honor his memory by beating their football team. But yeah, no, I'm gonna take Kansas at home on that one. Uh, but I may try to catch a little bit of this one just because I'm sure they're going to do like a little Bobby Knight tribute or something for that one. I think he just passed away this past week or something.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
yep. I'm with you. We might be talking about that one later. I don't know. For some reason, ESPN seems to think that's going to be a close game. Then that matchup predictor sometimes is more right than you would think it is. So we'll
I
see.
mean, Texas Tech, they upset TCU a little bit last week. They beat Baylor, beat
Yeah,
Houston. I mean, they're not terrible.
TCU we just talked about. I mean, like really disappointing year for them. So, after the loss to Oklahoma State, Oklahoma falls in the rankings number 17. Where this
That's
week
got to be
they
one of the biggest movers, right?
no joke. I mean, I Oklahoma. You want to talk about another team, man? Is it the Baker Mayfield curse? Like they just can't do it now.
I,
I
I
mean,
don't know, man.
I
Maybe they got the Jalen Hurts curse. I don't know. No,
yeah, something.
did he go
But
to? Yeah, he went to Oklahoma.
they are hosting West Virginia on Fox at 7 p.m. night game kickoff. West Virginia 6-3. Oklahoma obviously 7-2 after that loss there. I'm sure it'll be a big crowd for an afternoon game in Norman, afternoon evening game. 59 degrees, 60. That's perfect football weather as far as I'm concerned in the fall. So, um,
Yeah, I think Oklahoma's gonna. I think they're gonna get one.
yeah,
I think Oklahoma at home. West Virginia is not terrible, but they still got a lot to play for and everything. I'm gonna take Oklahoma. They're favored by 13. I think they're going to have a bounce back win. They're still trying to kind of prove themselves a little bit, and I mean they're still fighting for a decent bowl game. So
yeah. West Virginia is just not going to be able to do it. Oklahoma, I think they're going to take out a lot of anger this week. I think Dylan Gabriel will be great. Maybe throw for another 5 tuds. And I take Oklahoma big over West Virginia, if nothing else, just to get a little anger out. So,
speaking of getting a little anger out, number 19 LSU host Florida. Dude, I mean, both these teams are not having the years that they're not having the season that they thought that they might have. Both teams, are this is going to be one. I think both of them are going to take out some aggression. Florida, they were sort of kind of in the driver's seat, second in the SEC East. LSU, uh, you know, I think they thought that they were going to bounce back and have a good run this year, but Ole Miss is just ruining them hopes and dreams. So I actually think this is going to be a slobber knocker here, just to be honest with you. But I'm gonna take LSU at home. At home. It's that's what 3:30 their time. Um,
no, this game is 7. There'll be 6:30 kickoff at
6:30.
LSU time. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think LSU. I think LSU's going to get the win on this one. I had Florida going 6-6 on the year, anyways. So I need that to happen. So
Yeah, Brian Kelly have him ready. The only thing I am worried about is if Jaden Daniels doesn't play. Not sure about the backup. I know he played last week and looked okay.
Nussmeyer,
Also,
maybe. I think
also do what?
Nussmeyer, I think is his name.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't. His name escapes me. I know too many people, but he wasn't terrible. But
No.
Florida is one of those teams too. They jump on some of these games, man, that they shouldn't. But I kind of think they have not really gotten that great over the year. I think they might have got worse. So I just kind of think Billy Napier's not the answer for Florida, and he's kind of playing for his job at the end of the year here. I think still. So
I think they were riding high after beating the Vols,
yeah,
and then they just didn't really capitalize on that. Where the Vols kind of put their head back down, and they're trying to play out through the year a little bit
that
better.
loss at Kentucky and then Arkansas last week is not what Florida needed. If they'd have beat Arkansas, I think he's fine. But they're looking at 6-6. I mean, so it's gonna be a tough year for them. But I'm gonna ride with LSU. Looking good here. Number 20 Notre Dame is on a bye this week. They will be up again next week playing Wake Forest. Um,
Hey, we get to talk about Colorado. Everybody forgot about
yeah, the only
them.
way Colorado's ever going to make it in the top 25 is to play a top 25 team, which they're going to do for the next month. So you better be ready to talk about them. Number 21, Arizona travels to the Colorado Buffaloes. This is a 2 p.m. Eastern kickoff. So that'll be 11 a.m. for Dion. So that'll be, in his morning coffee time. So you don't have to be angry about that. You are the Colorado fangirl, so I'm going to let you talk about it.
They got to win this one. I mean,
they do have to win
they
this
got to
one.
win the. Colorado, I'm not saying that they were going to win, go to the playoffs or nothing crazy, but if they don't make a bowl game, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad news bears. Okay. So they have to win this one. Arizona is underrated. They've proved themselves the last couple of weeks. But I'm going to take Colorado. I'm going to go against, you know, it seems like I have faith when no one else does when it comes to Colorado. Again, nothing. Arizona's a good team, but I just think Colorado has to win this one. So I think that Dion's going to have them ready. Shout out to Arizona, man. They've shocked a lot of people. Beat Washington State, beat Oregon State, beat UCLA. They're coming in high, thinking they're going to do something, and I think they're going to come in and drop this one. They're tied for okay. Washington's 6-0 in the conference, Oregon's 5-1, USC's 5-2. They need to win this one to stay in because USC's probably going to lose this week. But I think Colorado might sneak in there and get them. But I also think that they kind of have to. So
Colorado's ranked 132nd in rushing yards, 120th in defense. Yeah, they're definitely going to get beat by Arizona. Arizona is a growing football team. Arizona, I've been riding them like the good old trusty steed the last few weeks to get the wins here. They have the number, their defense about 28. It's just, look, man, I hate it for Dion, but he has not got it. They'll probably get their stuff stolen at home this week. Shadur will probably be posting stuff on Instagram at halftime. He'll make some pretty throws. He'll flex his Rolex, and they'll probably lose by 3. It won't be by 10. It'll be a close game, but I'm gonna take Arizona for the win at Colorado. Just for the record, I want to go on record saying I kind of hope they win because I really want to see Dion in a bowl. If he doesn't go bowl eligible, it's just going to kill all the hype, and then everybody's going to be back to hating on him, and I don't want to see that. So I hope he pulls it off, but I don't see it happening. I'm sorry. Give me Arizona.
I hope I get to play this sound clip in a few days. And you're wrong. And if
I hope you get to play it in a few days.
If I'm wrong, nobody's ever going to see or hear this again.
No, that's
just kidding. But Shiloh, man, 2,962. I think I can't see, but almost 3,000 yards passing, 24 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. I think Colorado's got to get some momentum, man. But they've got Arizona, and they've got Washington State and Utah. They've got to get 2. I think this is going to be one that they're going to be able to maybe get because the next 2 are on the road. So I think Dion's going to have the team motivated. So that's my hopes. But what's next?
Up next, we have number 22, Iowa, hosting the Rutgers Scarlet Knights as a 3:30 kickoff on Big Ten Network. Iowa's favored by 1.5. Over/under is 28. Probably pound the under. I'm going to give you mine first. Actually, I am going to take Rutgers for no other reason that it's just gut feeling. Iowa, it's about time for them to choke. It kind of is. They've kind of been skating by all year, and I think they are going to be the team that gets the reckoning. They kind of do this kind of a lot of times. They just got re-ranked again. Be prime time for them to lose a game that they should win against Rutgers. So I'm going to go with Rutgers. Probably ignorant, but I am doing it anyway.
I don't know if I would say they're skating by. I mean, they're getting by with all defense, no offense. So it's literally a unstoppable force meets immovable object. Now, this is going to be, in my opinion, a low-scoring defensive game. Rutgers' defense is actually pretty good. Greg Schiano's done a lot of good over there. This one's going to be a low-scoring defensive game, but I think Iowa's going to get it primarily because they're at home, but their defense is very good, and I don't know that Rutgers has enough playmakers to really do anything, so I'm taking Iowa.
I like it. Moving on to number 23, Tulane, who hosts Tulsa for a 12 o'clock kick in New Orleans. Who you got?
I'm going to take Oh, I just exited out of the notes. I'm gonna take Tulane at home. Uh, they've got the most disgusting uniforms in all of America, but I'm gonna take them.
Amen. They're
Uh,
so bad.
they're
Oh, they're
so
so
bad, but
bad.
yeah, I'm gonna take Tulane. I think they're gonna keep it rolling one more week. We'll see what happens next week, but I think they're gonna hang around and then eventually go to a bowl game and get whacked by
Yeah.
somebody. But for right now, they keep it rolling.
Tulsa's on a 4-game skid. Obviously, hadn't done too good this year. Give me the green wave for the win at home. I don't have much other than that. Kind of, you pretty well covered everything.
This
So,
next one I know is a
oh
matchup
Lord.
near and dear to your heart. Casper Rooney, who you got? Or well, I guess cue it up and then tell me who you got. I think I
So
know
we
who you
got
got.
the number 4 UNC Tar Heels hosting the
The
unranked
number 4?
number 24. I said 24,
Did you?
I think. Hosting the unranked Duke Blue Devils. I think at the beginning of the year, me and you both thought this was going to be a pretty big time football game,
We
hopefully.
did.
And unfortunately, things haven't gone how we wanted
It's
it to.
still it's going to be a good football game. There's just no real implications anymore.
I mean, basically, yeah. Unless Georgia Tech or Wales all
I
lose, so
yeah.
it means nothing. It's just whoever gets to play in Charlotte for the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl at this point is basically what the winners play for. Which Carolina's played in that like 5 times in the last 7 years. So, here's the deal. This is a basketball rivalry game, but like I was explaining to Big Drewski earlier today, when Duke and Carolina play, I know everybody thinks Michigan, Ohio State is hate. I know people think that, I don't know, Georgia, Florida is hate. Tennessee, Alabama is hate. I'm telling you right now, there is no more hate in this country than Duke and Carolina. My poor mother. This would drive her insane. What I'm about to say. This game is at Carolina. Carolina has 2 losses on the year, both to teams that they should have beat in Georgia Tech and Virginia. Both of them at 8 o'clock kickoffs on ACC Network, where they were favored by more than 10 points. As they are in this game, as this game is scheduled, give me the Duke Blue Devils money line for the win at Carolina, taking the bell back to Durham.
So I was considering taking the better basketball team and picking Duke just to spite you, but now I think I'm gonna take UNC just because nothing would bring me more joy than to just play this clip of you picking Duke, being wrong, me picking UNC, and that's how your luck's gonna go. So, and it's a night game at UNC. I'm gonna take UNC just because I feel like that's gonna mortify you on multiple levels, being a Carolina Tar Heels boy growing up. So yeah, give me UNC Drake Mate, baby.
Mama, I just want you to know in my Pick'ems game, I picked Carolina just for you. All right. Moving on. Number 25, Kansas State hosts the Baylor Bears. Kansas State favored by 20 and a half points. Big Casper did not do very good on the notes here. I'm helping you. Hold on just a second, homie.
So
This
Kansas State, they got that stifling. I'm somewhat prepared for this. Kansas State they got that stifling defense at times. They're the reigning champions of their conference. Um, they play some good football. Baylor's not had the year that they wanted. They're also favored by 20. So I don't see any surprises in this one. I think Kansas State's going to roll on. They're trying to keep, they're trying to stay competitive in the conference and everything. Right now, if there's every year that we need a 12 team playoff, it would be this year. But I mean, even the Big 12, the SEC, it's all kind of up for grabs. Big 12, Texas is 5-1, Oklahoma State's 5-1, Kansas and Oklahoma are 4-2. Kansas, West Virginia, Iowa State, they're all 4-2. So there's a very, legitimate Big 12 race going on. But yeah, I'm gonna take Kansas State.
Yeah, I've got Kansas State. Kansas State's a good football team. Their 3 losses have come to current top 15 teams. Missouri, Oklahoma State, and Texas. And they almost squeaked it out against Texas last week. Don't forget that either. So,
Yes.
Kansas State is a good football team. I don't know that they're tier A, but they're definitely tier B or higher. So, give me Kansas State big over Baylor. Baylor's just, they ain't done anything in a long time. Since RG3 was there, basically. So
pretty much.
But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up on the pick'ems, Big Drewski.
So,
what's up next?
Your upset watch pick of the week. Who do you got on upset watch this week?
Well, I picked it, so I didn't pick it on this one though, did I? Did I pick Georgia on here?
You did.
I'm putting Georgia on upset watch. I don't know that they're gonna lose. I think Lane Kiffin's going to have his hair really pretty and blonde. I think he's going to have the dog ready to go. I think his dog is probably better than any pit bull they've got down there in Georgia. I think he's bringing a chainsaw and taking the hedges back to Mississippi with him. It's going to be the battle of the visors. If he doesn't take Kirby's visor home with him after he wins this game, he is a baby back. You know what? Give me Ole Miss to upset Georgia for my upset alert.
I like that pick. Mine is just purely off of just I can 100% see it happening. But I'm going to go Texas with a potential trap game against TCU. I don't know why. I feel like TCU's got enough pieces left that they could potentially win that game. But I don't know why. I just feel like I could see Texas stumbling. They're okay, Oklahoma screwed up. Now it's our turn. And then completely overlooking a TCU that could come in and embarrass them. I don't know why. I can see the headlines. I can see the ESPN stories and stuff. So I'm going to put Texas on upset watch.
So I would like to give you credit for that, but I'd also like to say the reason I don't see that happening is because Texas doesn't have to play anybody the rest of the year to make it like a trap game. So we'll see what happens, though.
That is why I could see them dropping it. But so just to run through it one more time, and we got 3 minutes. Just to run through it one more time, the official rankings are first, for some reason, Ohio State. Second, Georgia. Third, Michigan. Fourth, Florida State. Fifth, Washington. All those teams are 9-0. Number 6, Oregon. Number 7, Texas. Number 8, Alabama. Number 9, Ole Miss. 10, Penn State. 11, Louisville. All those teams are 8-1. Number 12, Oregon State. Number 13, Tennessee. 14, Mizzou. 15, Oklahoma State. 16, Kansas. 17, Oklahoma. 18th, Utah. All of those are 7-2. And then 19th is LSU. 20, Notre Dame. 21st, Arizona. All those are 3-loss teams. Notre Dame 7-3 because they played that week 1 matchup. 22nd is Iowa. 23rd, Tulane. 24th, Carolina. And 25th, Kansas State. Arizona and Iowa were not ranked last week. The biggest mover was Oklahoma, who dropped 8 spots after that loss last week. Any of these that stick out to you as possible snubs?
No, not really. Honestly, at this point, no. I mean, I'm not sold on Ohio State being number 1, but I'm not going to get on here and rip on that every week for the next month. So we'll talk about that later.
So the only ones that dropped out were UCLA, USC, and Air Force. Others receiving votes in the AP polls were Kansas State with 73, Fresno State 73, USC, Air Force, Toledo, UCLA, Iowa, SMU, Duke, West Virginia, Texas A&M, Clemson, and NC State. That, I believe, folks, is all we got. Casper, any parting words?
Y'all have a great weekend watching football. Go Lane Kiffin.
Play some football, baby! Oh, we freaking love you guys so much. Again, if you have not already, click like, click subscribe. Until next time, this is the CFB Top 25, baby. Peace.
Later.